You got headhunted, but you have a third class degree. How can someone headhunt someone in a company such as the big as the one that you work with, and you get a third? And how does that? What does that mean?
I
You're not
know
going to get a
it's
CV.
crazy, right? It's crazy. But I when I think about what I was trying to do before, when I obviously I had that grade, and I was like, okay, what else can I do? So things like the experience that I acquired through Group N, the studies that I had taken on board from, the one that I was paying for, these are now additional things that I've got on my CV that's now
Cool.
helping bumping me up based on what I can offer, based on what experience I have. And it wasn't just, yes, that there's a grade, and obviously you want to aim for good grades, but I actually have a few years backing me up based on what I've done in the past, as well as the current role that I was in prior to being headhunted.
So tell us, where are you from?
So I was brought up in Hackney. I grew up in Hackney, to be exact, Homerton in Hackney. I lived there for about 10 years before moving to Islington. I went to Islington, and in terms of what is that, just the background or
Yeah.
school? Yeah.
What kind of school was it? Was it private school? Did you go public school?
Yeah, I went to a public school. So the public school I went to was actually in Old Street. That is like near City Road. So I went there. It was called what was it called? It was called St. Luke's Primary School at the time. I think it still exists now. I'm sure it does. And then I moved on to a secondary school that was in Angel, and that was called Elizabeth Garrett Anderson School. People called it EGA for short.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was based in Angel, and then from there went on to college. I went to a college in Hendon, so it was a bit far away from where I actually resided at the time, just for reasons that I had chosen. So that was in Hendon, and then went on to Kingston University.
Cool. Yeah. So what kind of person was you at school? Was you very academic, or was you more athletic, or what kind of person was you?
I was a bit of both. When I first started, I was a bit athletic. I really liked basketball, which probably will come as a surprise to a lot of people. I really enjoyed basketball. It was something I loved watching, and then I participated in it. Towards like the last final years, I guess, I became very focused on, the studies and ensuring that area was up to par. I had no choice, basically. My mum always told me, you must study. And it was always like, focus on your books. So that became very apparent towards the final years. But yeah.
Cool. And from there, obviously, okay, so GCSEs go well?
Yeah. I got altogether about 10 GCSEs, ATCs. Yeah, so that went well.
Cool. And then A-levels?
A-levels, I didn't actually do A-level. I did a BTEC National Diploma. I did that in college, and I actually studied computer studies. So it wasn't what they called an A-level, it was just the diploma. So it's slightly different.
So why computer studies?
It was something that I had an interest in. It was a bit out of the norm of what you usually hear our parents say to us. I mean, I'm from a Nigerian background, so it was, you always hear, go and be a doctor, and you be an accountant, and I wanted to do something different. So I had an interest in the computing world. So I thought, let me just go and do it. So I studied computing for a good number of years. And I enjoyed it. I actually liked it. So yeah, just to be different. That's why I went ahead to do that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you do the BTEC. So what's the path for BTEC? Is that you doing it? Is that like 2 years, 1 year, 3 years? How does that work?
So I did a 3-year course. So essentially, I didn't do, I think in some colleges you can get to do like a work experience. So I didn't do the work experience. I just did a straight 3-year BTEC. And I know it comes in different ways. It really depends on what you're studying and the approach that you take towards it.
Yeah.
But I decided to do the 3-year one, so that's what I did. Yeah.
Awesome. So you do the 3-year one, and then that prepares you for university.
Yes. Yeah.
To study what?
So in university, I started computing with business management. So continue. Actually, you know what? In fact, let me take it back a notch. My very first course that I did before doing that was actually very, very random, because I didn't actually get the exact grades I wanted to get for the initial course I wanted to do. So I had to kind of like do a course that was available for me to do just to get into university. So I ended up doing, it was called GIS. It was like Geographical Information Studies, and it was about satellite. I know. Don't even ask me. Yeah. It was about the satellites and how people look at the maps from outside, in space, and it was very, very random. But I had to do a course. I had to go to university regardless of what it was. So I ended up doing that as my first year, and that didn't really go well. That didn't go well. So I didn't do all my first year. So I ended up then going into my second study, which was actually computing with business management, and that's what I actually wanted to do. So didn't get there straight away, but I ended up getting there eventually. Yeah.
All right, cool. So you get there now, you go to Kingston University studying computer science.
Computing with business management, yeah.
And then the next thing is you do your 3 years. 3 years or 4 years?
I did 3 years, yeah. I did 3 years.
And then what happens? So you finish, you get like a first class, right?
No, not exactly. I didn't get a first class. I didn't get a first class. Okay.
So what did you get?
I ended up actually getting a 3rd class degree.
A whole African woman from Hackney got a 3rd class degree.
A 3rd class degree. That one that you don't even know exists, that you don't want to know about it. That is the one that I got. And if can I be real, when I got that grade, I was upset. I was absolutely upset, because when I think about my journey in university, my very first year, as I said, I did a course that I just did just to get into the door. And to be honest, that year was more, I was just enjoying life. It was university life. I wanted to go out and have parties. So I wasn't paying attention to it. So I ended up taking this course much more seriously when I ended up obviously failing my first year. And it was something that I studied. I actually spent time studying. I was one of those ones that was up all night, did all my assignments. I wasn't late with submissions and things like that. So it really upset me, because I know how much work I put into that, and for me to come out with a 3rd class degree, for me personally at the time, it was just, I felt like my world just ended, because I was like, if I'm putting this much energy into something and I end up with that grade, then what else can I do? So I was upset. Crying, everything.
Okay, cool. So you're upset. Obviously, you've now got I guess, so when you're doing this course, you have an expectation that by getting this grade, you can get a certain type of job, right?
Yes, exactly.
So what happens to the plan then? So that's plan A. Plan A is now out of the window. Well, you got a 3rd, so some will say that's plan G.
I know.
So we're the G plan of life. Obviously, you've got to tell your mum. How did that go?
I don't even remember. That's how I just erased it in my mind.
In fact, you know you have to erase it, because there's not even a conversation you can.
It's not even something I want to remember. I just I can't even remember how it goes. That's how it's completely gone out my mind. Literally.
It's fine. Don't worry. After we're talking about it now, you'll have dreams about that day.
It'll come back to me.
Okay, cool. So plan A doesn't work. So what does Abby do next?
So what did I do? Obviously, after I got over the crying and underneath my bed covers forever, I was like,
you know what?
Ice
cream as well to comfort yourself. Wow.
Everything, ice cream, chocolate, the most, everything that was possible for me to do in terms of comfort eating. Yes, I did it. Yes, I did it. Yeah. So when I got over that period, obviously when I would say fully, I was like, okay, I still had a mentality that I still want to do well in life, you know, and I can't allow that current situation to now dictate what happens for the rest of my life. So I had to think about what are my options. So I still had my part-time job. So I was working in Boots the Chemist. So that was my income at the time. And I thought, okay, looking for jobs, I was seeing what they were asking for, and in terms of grades, and nobody was asking for third class degrees. Nobody was asking for that. So I'm like, okay, I need to do something. Yeah. So one of the first things that I did was I did a course at the time. What was the company called? It was like an access course. I'll just call it an access course. It was one of those ones when you come into a center, maybe like 3 days a week, and it was focused at the time. I'm still doing IT because IT and computing was the initial route that I was taking. So I did an access course where I was learning about programming languages, just to enhance what I did in college as well. So just to get some other accreditations on my CV to bump up that there's other ways to show what I can do. So that was the very first thing that I did. It was it feels like it's so long ago. The name of the company's gone out of my head, but yeah, basically an access course to bump up my.
Is that so? You have to pay for the course.
Yes, I paid for the course. Yeah,
You now paid for a degree and you paid for a course. Actually, question: did you get student loan?
In my first year, the very first course that I did, but the other ones I didn't. No.
So how did you sustain yourself?
I worked hard. You know, as I mentioned, I worked at Boots. I worked at Boots, and
The whole way through uni.
Yeah, throughout the whole of uni, I worked through. I was actually situated at the time. My base store was in Green Park, but the good thing about Boots is you could apply to any store that was in your locale. So when I was at Kingston University, I could go to any store and just say to them, do you need anyone to do extra hours? And then I'll just turn up and just sign in my number. So when I finished university, I'll go there. You know, all the hours that were available. When I came back to London and I was, you know, with my mum, any store that was available, I would go there because I wanted to. I had no choice. I needed to save the money up to ensure that I can get through university and pay for all my courses. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Little interjections. Right. So now we're at the training course. You're paying for it, doing it 3 days a week, part-time working at Boots.
Yep.
So okay, so now just to bring everyone in, for those that have just joined in. So we're talking about someone that was born in Hackney, went to public school, went through, did okay at GCSE, A levels, bit shaky, did a BTEC, then went to university, had a fantastic time at all of the clubs, doing her thing, and then lo and behold, she gets the third grade, the third. And some people think, what's the third? You know, you can get first class, second class. Let's call it the third for now. And that's now relegated her plan A. So now, after eating cookies, junk food, hiding under the cover, she now decides that she wants to now go and do a training course to push herself, which is 3 days a week, which she now has to pay for again, in the hope to become what? At this stage, what did you want to become? What kind of job were you looking for? Because you always talk about computer science now. So did you want to be a software engineer? Like, what was the plan?
Yeah, software engineer exactly was what I was aiming towards, in terms of IT support and stuff like that. So network support, that was the route that I was going in. So yeah, that's what I did. That was the plan, basically, to do that course and end up with that type of role.
Cool. So you did that course for how long?
So the course was it was like a year, just maybe about 9 months, actually. Sorry, yeah, about 9 months.
Cool. So what happens next, work-wise? When do you transition?
So one of the things that company did was when you did that course, they would put you in a job placement or some sort of experience job, whether they could either pay you or they may not pay you, depending. I ended up getting into one that they did pay me. So I ended up working for a company called Group M. That was based in Holborn, and I was working as first line support in IT. So I did that for about a year. That was the contract that I had. And for me, it was good. I liked it. At the same time, it was tough because I was the only woman on the IT workforce.
Wow. How many Black people were on that workforce?
At the time, I was the only Black woman on in the IT workforce. Obviously, in the company it was different, but the actual IT workforce, I was the only woman and I was the only Black woman.
How did that work?
It was interesting. It was really interesting, especially the times where someone is now calling up IT support and it's like, oh, I need help with X, Y, and Z. And then, at the time, I was very heels and nails and stuff like that. And then I'll turn up and they're like, yeah, me. I'm the person that you're looking I'm the person that you just called for and I'm here to help you. So that part of things was quite tough because I always got that type of response. Everyone was thinking, who was I, not realizing that I am the one that was coming to help them with their computers. So it got a bit frustrating. It was really, I found it really annoying because it's like, just take me seriously, please. Like, I know what I'm doing right now. So I learned a lot, don't get me wrong, but it was a bit tough with that area of things being looked at in a way that really.
So, yeah. Did it make you uncomfortable to the extent where you had to escalate it or, speak to a hiring manager, or was you good?
No, it wasn't like that. It was just like, gosh, this is just annoying. It was, no, I didn't escalate. It wasn't like that I'm feeling attacked for being. It was just like, oh, I didn't expect it to be you, in a sense. Like I was expecting someone that looks like that fits the
IT
the umbrella. Yeah.
And in terms of years, just so people understand context, we're talking about 2009.
Yes. Yeah, about 20.
Okay,
yeah,
cool. 2009. I know you're not going to dates. That's why I just threw it out there, just so you can say yeah.
Yeah, I was like, did a quick calculation in my head. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's 2009. So if we think about that's the brink of financial crisis time in the UK. Yes. So women in IT generally, obviously, it's not really the thing anyway. So to be a Black woman in IT again, it's kind of a different. It's like you're an anomaly.
Yes, absolutely, and that's what those looks looked like to me. Like that's what the eyes were telling me at the time. So I felt that 100%.
So then, okay, so Group N, how long were you there for, and what happened next?
So that was just I was there for a year. So that was just the period. There wasn't any. I didn't get to stay on after that, which was fine because towards the end of it, I was feeling like I didn't really want to be there at the time, and it was just how I was feeling. So I just started looking at different places. So I ended up applying for different jobs. I ended up at a job called Interactive Data.
Okay, cool.
That was based in City Road, like near Old Street, same area at the same time. And I worked there. I did a little bit of IT, but it was this is when I was starting to move towards the business sales side, in a sense. So essentially, cool. I was responsible for kind of like creating the interfaces that traders were using to do their decision making when they're buying and selling. So the bespoke packages is what I was creating in terms of the interface. So doing that bit and then working with the sales team at the same time. And that's where the transition, I'll say, started from.
When you say transition, would you call it the big break?
Yes, I would say that, yeah. Big break in terms of now doing something that is still in my field, don't get me wrong, but now I'm liking what I'm doing. I'm understanding what I'm doing. I'm thriving in what I'm doing at the same time. So, and having the assurity of knowing this is the direction that I now want to go into. Before I wasn't sure. I liked the idea of IT. I liked the idea of that stuff, but you just obviously experiencing it. It didn't work quite out the way I wanted it to be, and that's completely, unique to me. But at this point, I knew the direction that I was going in. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, that was.
So then we're talking now 2011. 10?
Yes, 2011, going to
Cool.
2012. Yeah, I see you. I see you.
Yeah,
It's coming back to me.
okay, cool. So right, so now we're talking about so if we now think back to the girl that got her third class, plan A went out the window, plan G was now in full force. How did you keep yourself motivated through that period? Because we're talking about what, 4 years? And as we know, many people when they leave university, well, with my experience, most people left their university job, went to do retail before they actually got their big break into the job they wanted. You didn't get the grade you wanted, then you had to now retrain again, and then now almost go on a track that was not in your mind, and then now you get this big break. I don't know, how did you reconcile all of that? Did you feel like you deserved it, or was it just like, I'll just run and see how it goes?
I mean, for me, I remember the day that I got that job that I just mentioned just now, and I felt like I didn't deserve it at the time, because a part of me still held on to that grade that I had, and I was like, I know the work I've put in since that grade, but a part of me still held on to it. Like, at the end of the day, you still have this on your piece of paper. So essentially, what you're doing right now, it doesn't match up. It doesn't match up. But the middle part, the things that I did in the middle, warranted it. When I came to that realization of accepting where I was, and what kept me motivated, just one of your questions. To be honest, there was an element of family. You know, my family is very supportive and very encouraging. So I just, I'm very thankful for the family that I have. And at the same time, there was an element of who I was surrounding myself with. The circle that I was surrounding myself with were ones that really wanted to strive in life. And it was just one of those things where there was no way that I could be in that circle and just fall back. It just didn't make any sense. You know, if you're surrounded by people that are thinking about excelling and stuff like that, it's only natural for you to follow through. Whatever that route may be, it may be slightly different to that next person, but you're all kind of on your way to somewhere. So that was the two things I would say that kind of kept me motivated at the same time, as well as prayer as well. You know, being having a connection with God. These were the things that kept me going. It was like, if I'm not going to do all these things, then what else am I going to do? So there is what else. So I might as well do what I can. Yeah.
So keying into a quick one, then you said about your circle, people that wanted to win. Out of interest, how big was that circle?
It was small. I would say I can count it on one hand. I've got a big circle of people that I know, but in terms of the ones that were really pushing me in terms of what you can do with your life and how you can move forward and stuff, I'll say that was less than 5.
Cool. So this is what I really want to key in, right? Because from my experience, girls, isn't it? I'm a guy, you're a lady. I noticed that girls have a lot of friends, like a lot of friends. Like, for example, a girl. So if a girl puts on a party, they don't struggle to fill the room.
Yeah.
But then I feel like there's like I don't know if it's a generational thing or what it is, but how do you have so many friends and thrive? Because surely not everybody's on the same page. Like, how do you say no to going to every function that happens every other month because it's everyone's birthday? If you've got a clique of 10 friends, surely you're going to have an event every month. How do you, especially this is before, so you're talking about you're in your late 20s now. So you're talking about, some people call it the prime of their life. How do you not be distracted and go on holidays and your first paycheck, you just go wild and you do all these things? How do you keep that? Your circle is there, but how did you say, okay, I've got loads of friends, but these 5 people who I'm going to give my ear to?
How do I let me just think about my experience. I mean, let me think about where I was before those 5 friends were part of my influence. The fact that I came from a place where I had to be serious about what I was doing to get myself through university, that takes a level of responsibility in itself. So I had that kind of embedded in myself anyway. Obviously, my mum being at the time very, you must do these type of things, and we're not failures in our household. That was, so So with that type of experience, it's easy. Well, I don't want to say easy. I'm going to speak about myself, but it's I already had something inside me that helped me to not only be in a room full of people, but know when to listen and when not to listen.
Mhm.
That I know that doesn't happen with everybody, so I can explain based on my experience. But the conversations that I had, so the ones that kind of did something to me, the ones that I gravitated towards. So I'm hearing a lot of different conversations, but I'm gravitating to the ones that are doing something to, let me say, my spirit, doing something to me that is just making me like jump inside myself. And naturally that feeling was good, so naturally you just gravitate towards what's making you feel good. I'm not saying that other conversation didn't make me feel good, but was it always providing me value? No. And I knew when to take in what was providing me value and when not to. And that, me being a responsible person quite early, helped
Mm.
me to now listen and not listen at the time, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it works for everybody, but that was just my personal experience, and it's just something that I continue to follow through today. One thing I can say about me is if I come to a place that is a brand new circle, most people that know me know that I can be quiet when you first get to know me. And for me, I don't know why I do this, but I kind of just like to observe. I like to observe and see what people are saying, see what, you know, and then I kind of make a decision in myself about how I will engage with that person, depending on what it is. Well, I'm open to a lot of things, but when it comes to certain conversations, for example, then I have who I want to speak to about that. It could be, if I want to talk about fun, then I know who I'm going to speak to about that. You kind of just catch your rhythm as life goes on, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got you. So it seems that from what you're saying, even from a younger age, there was a self-discipline that you ingrained in yourself,
Yep.
plus with the support of the Nigerian household to reinforce that anytime you forgot who you was.
Anytime I forgot, you, but I just remember. Yeah.
So yeah, so I guess yeah. So from that perspective, obviously, it's something that it's a habit that you had to build inside of you. It wasn't like one
Yeah.
day you decided and you became. We're talking
Yeah.
of years, almost
Yes.
like a decade now. Okay, cool. So
Exactly.
you're at this. So you're at a job working in providing stuff for the sales ops guys. How did you now? Okay, so this is a fantastic question actually. So if I say so myself. So I'm now in a company, and you're working in what area in London now?
When I got to my previous company.
The one that you're mentioning after G Group M.
Okay, yeah. So that was in like City Roads, Central London.
Cool. So you're now
Yeah.
in the city. You're seeing people buy, Starbucks, flash lunches, all this bling bling, and all of the suits and all of the swag. How do you now not get caught up in just being a part of that and now striving to go to the next level
Do you mean in terms of?
in work in your career? So how do you now decide to okay? So I'm at a better place than I was a couple of years ago, but I want to still go further. How do you
Mm,
now how do you now push yourself to now say there must be more? I want to push myself further.
I guess one of the first things was observing those people that are already in the company that I was working at. And you have like companies will have like town halls that will talk about different areas of the business, about what they're working on and what they've thrived in and stuff like that. And then also there's like the element of awards based on performance that gets publicized to everybody. So I think that kind of opened up my eyes to tell me that there are other areas. It's just not this box that I'm in right now, even though I was built in that box in a sense.
Hmm.
But those type of things will kind of what exposed me to, okay, there is such thing as a senior role. There is such thing as having this type of influence based on a knowledge that you can acquire. If you acquire this knowledge, you can have this type of influence, and those type of things. I liked it. It was more, you're impacting people at a senior level, and not only impacting people, you're impacting the business. You're bringing the business to a different direction as well with your inputs. And for me, that stood out to me. And Was I not giving impact where I was? Of course I was, but it was a different level. So I guess those type of exposures is what opened up my eyes to see, okay, there's more that I can do, and there's still room for growth. You never stop learning. So for me, that was, I guess, one of the things that made me open up my eyes, that I can still do more from my current situation. I can still do more. So yeah.
Cool. So you do more, you plug yourself in. How do you get to now where you are today? What does that transition look like?
So, when I moved to the company that I'm in now, my very first role. I actually didn't apply for it. I actually got headhunted by the company. So obviously,
Wait, 1 second. You got headhunted, but you have a third class degree. How can someone headhunt someone in a company such as the one that you work with, and you get a third? And how does that? What does that mean?
I
Not
know
look at your
it's
CV.
crazy, right? It's crazy. But I when I think about what I was trying to do before, when I had that grade, and I was like, okay, what else can I do? So things like the experience that I acquired through Group N, the studies that I had taken on board from, the one that I was paying for. These are now additional things that I've got on my CV that's now helping bumping me up based on what I can offer, based on what experience I have. And it wasn't just, yes, that, there's a grade, and obviously, you want to aim for good grades, but I actually have a few years backing me up based on what I've done in the past, as well as the current role that I was in prior to being headhunted. So I've got a few years of things that happened after that third class degree that helped me.
So you're talking about, you went from just having an education, quote unquote, and then moved to having adding skill sets in what you're doing.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah. And yeah.
And then, okay, so you're now in the City of London. This new role, where's this new role now?
So this one is based in Canary Wharf.
A whole Canary Wharf.
Oh, Canary Wharf.
Great, to Canary Wharf. And obviously the company you work for, they're not a small company, right?
No, they're a global company, a really, really big company, and everyone, whether you've known it or not, have been exposed to them. Whether it be through, the news, articles that you read, pictures that you may see, videos you may see online. A lot of the work that they produce is circulated globally. So, there's probably an advert on this that comes from my company at the same time.
Wow. So cool. So you're in the new role. Obviously, you're enjoying life, things are going well. Are you married at this time?
No, I wasn't married, no.
So you'll be what, 32 now, 31?
Right now?
No, when you got the
at the time, yeah, I was about 31, yeah.
So you're a 31-year-old Nigerian heritage, a lady with Nigerian heritage in London, unmarried at 31. Please explain to me if there were any challenges being you at that time.
Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot of, there was a lot of pressure, as you mentioned, by those factors. That's what you just mentioned. Being Nigerian, it felt like the mentality was, you are not complete until you are married. Hey, can you imagine? Like that was, and to a certain degree, sometimes you felt like that was the truth, because that was all that you would hear. When you get married, when you get married, when you get married. I beg, please. And it started making me think, okay, why am I not married? Is it wrong that I'm not married right now? Is this what's defining me right now? That the fact that I'm not, this is what was going through, this is the years of, conversations that you would hear from different areas, whether it be, parents or aunties and uncles. When's your own turn?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of pressure. And then there was the element of me doing too much, that I should focus. I was at a place where I just wanted to strive to do well. I wanted to do a lot of things for myself. And it was kind of, in a sense, frowned upon that you shouldn't be doing these. You should be focused on getting married. Forget all those things on the side. It's not important. Those things can come afterwards, if anything. So I wasn't, that wasn't my focus. My focus was to try to do well. And I felt like what I was doing was wrong. And then there was the element of, there was times where I felt like maybe I was being seen as being intimidating to guys because of the success that I had gone through, and I found myself not really speaking about what I was doing as for work, hiding certain things that I had accomplished for myself, like like buying a property, having a nice car. Like,
when did you buy your property?
When did I buy my property?
Age? Do you remember how old you were?
I was 20. Chai, it feels like so long ago. I was like 26, 27 when I bought my first property. And it was like, it was a massive achievement because I, saved my deposit straight, literally, from the discipline from when I was a young age, saving, still saving through and paying through my courses, but at the same time still saving on the side as well. So it was a big accomplishment, but I felt like I couldn't speak about it as much as I would have liked to, because I felt like, there was this thing that made me think, okay, you're now intimidating. You can't tell anybody. They're going to think that they can't do anything for you, that you've done everything for yourself. Even when I had a car, like I had a decent car. I'll say it's a decent car. I would park it around the side, so nobody would see the car that was coming out of.
Wow.
So it was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of pressure. Yeah, I didn't want. It's unfortunate, but that was my mindset at the time. But we got through all of that.
Okay, cool. So let's stay here just a little bit longer. We need to dwell. So,
okay.
Because it's very important, because a lot of times I hear, obviously I've spoken to you for many years about the same subject. And one thing that's obviously consistent is that many women believe that, just like yourself, that they don't want to excel too much based on who they're around at that moment in time, in terms of friendship circles, how everybody else is doing. And then they kind of slow their roll and just diminish themselves. But I think, based on what you're saying and hearing what I always hear, and I think we had this conversation as well one time, it's just that the more you have, the greater value you're going to bring to your marriage. And the benefit is that if you are doing so well, you're going to attract people that want to do well if they haven't already done well. But if you now diminish yourself, you're now holding on for someone who's basically a loser, who you're now going to have to motivate and take care of for the rest of your life. So, ladies, listen, make as much money as you can. Be the boss as in all things that you do. Never, ever wait for a guy or any culture to validate your level. If it means that you don't get married when everyone else gets married, no stress. But never, ever waste your years trying to fulfill a role that is maybe not your time or your destiny. Maybe you have to be a CEO in order to be another CEO, because friends, birds of a feather flock together. But if you roll with these chickens, fam, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Okay, cool. So you're in Canary Wharf now. Things are going well. You've got your house. You've got your car that you're hiding from everyone. This new role now in Canary Wharf, the role that you go into, how does it go in terms of how many women are in that department? How many Black women are in that department? What does that look like?
So the first ones I went into the sales team in the financial and risk sector, and it was male dominated. It was really male dominated. There was women.
Male dominated. How many people in the department? Just so we can get the context.
So in the sales, I'm focused on the sales team. So in the sales team, there was probably about 40 people in total.
In the office or globally?
In the office.
So that's 40 males, and were they consistently were they mixed, white, Asian, Black, or was it predominantly white? Males?
Predominantly white. It was predominantly white, but you did have a few of the mixes. But if you think about the ratios, it was predominantly white. Yeah.
And you were the only of 40.
No. I wasn't at the time. Now this one, it kind of started to diverse. So there was other women. There was other women, like there was other white women. There was Asian women. There was, in terms of Black women, for example, there was myself and another lady.
Mhm.
She was a bit more senior than I was, so we were the only two Black women. There was maybe like two Black men, but there was like Asian. There was, there was Chinese. There was a bit more. It was a bit more diverse, but in terms of the ratio, it was more predominantly in the, yeah.
So
Yes.
did that have any effect or impact of your daily work life? Just being in that kind of environment. So for example, especially sales guys, testosterone is high, right? So in terms
Mm.
of now a female speaking to them alone, let alone
Mm.
a Black female, did you have any situations where you're going into meetings and you're being undermined or you're not being heard? Did that ever happen to you?
Well, I would say that, at the beginning, the type of role that I was in, I had to tell them what to do. It was, this is the process that we're putting in place and you need to adhere to it. So I was in the space of you have to listen to me. Whether they did is another thing. So there were times where I felt like it wasn't always taking in what I was saying, and I guess it was just based on that's just a sales guy's behavior. They're stuck in their ways. They feel like they know what they're doing best, and they will continue, and they don't like change. Unfortunately, it just happens to be in the space that I'm in. Was that done based on me being a woman or being a Black woman? I won't say in this case that was the case. Um, I think it was just the fact that when you're in a sales environment, you have those type of characters regardless anyway. So
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So you now are in there, what's it, we're talking, so you're now 31, you're working there now. So present day role now, please explain where you are today.
Yeah, so now I'm currently working as a global sales operations manager. So essentially, the role that I do is I oversee all the processes that take place within the company, and the sales team as well, and we guide them to ensure that they can do the best that they can do in terms of growth in the organization. So all the processes that take place, all the systems that they use, it has to be dealt with in a particular way. You can't just go and do whatever you want. There's certain protocols that you have to follow. So that is what I'm responsible for, and I'm responsible for that process with all the salespeople, like globally. So I'm literally now in a global role, supporting, I say, a sales team of about 70 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's just track the journey. So it's 2021,
Mm.
2007, third class degree. Next, how many years later? It's about 14 years later, global head of sales operation for a multinational media firm.
Yeah.
How we've heard the story, but thinking back now, how did you really do it? A few themes that I can hear is obviously you're very diligent, you're self motivated, so you were able to pay your way through university yourself, and obviously you never gave up. But what would you say is your keys that you would like to pass on to the people that are watching?
For me, I would always say that there's always more. Never feel comfortable with your current position. There's, even in the role that I'm in now, there's still more. There's still more that I can do. Um, and I have to always remember that, because if I don't remember that, then I'm not going to look for the next opportunity, and I'm going to stay comfortable with where I am at the moment. So for me, initially, obviously, I didn't want to allow what happened in terms of my absolutely amazing grade, third class, to dictate that, you will feel certain things, you will feel emotions, certain things may not go your direction, but you always have to remember there's always more. So what can you do to get into that more space? And that's basically what I did in terms of the courses that I decided to take on, discipline that I had to ensure that I got through those courses, being able to go through things, even if I was intimidated based on being in the workforce where there wasn't that many women and stuff like that. There's still more. There's always more. This is the opportunities are limitless, but what do you do about it? The only person that can take you to that place is yourself. You have full control of where your next step is. You have full control of what tomorrow brings through the opportunities that you take today. That's going to help you with tomorrow. So there's always more. There's always more, and always remember that. That's what I would say.
Cool. So I'm just thinking of people that are watching, and I know that, like you said, your story, your motivation and drive is yours, and you've obviously acquired that. So if I am someone now that I'm in a position where I'm not making the money that I think I can earn, I'm not happy where I am, I want to do more with my life, how do I start that? So for example, the things that you had on your side, you had a family that supported you, irrespective of whether, quote unquote, you were successful or if you did well at education. You said also you had a circle, a tight circle of people that were go-getters. So if I am now not you, but if I'm now somebody, black female in London right now, I don't have the circle of friends that you have, I don't have the family you have, how do I start making the changes, basic steps? How do I start making changes to get me where I need to go?
What I would say first is identify where you want to go. What does where you want to go look like? One of the things you could do is, and one of the things I did as well, is look for job descriptions and see if that's what you like. So look at the ideal role that you want to go through. So in the current environment that you may be in, act like you're already in that role. So if there's certain projects that you can take on that you can now take from that role, and that can now be you can now put that on your CV. Now go and do that. Speak to your manager about, okay, this is something I want to do. You know what you're doing. This is what you're trying to put this on your CV. You're now trying to create that environment in your current situation. So you speak to your manager, for example, if you're in the workforce already, and say, okay, this is what I'm interested in. Obviously, you've got to come with ideas. It's not going to just be handed to you on a plate. You've got to come with ideas and say, this is the type of thing I want to explore, and see that one through. And it's like now you're working towards something, you're adding to your CV so that when you now get to that role that you want to get to, you already have it there. But you need to be able to identify what it is that you want, and now what do you need to have in yourself to get to that place? And that's where the opportunities come. That's what I would say. Outside of, if you don't have the circle of friends, and this is now you being self-sufficient, this is now you relying on yourself. So you have to identify what you want and then create those opportunities to now make it so at the same time.
Cool. So number one is identify what you want.
Identify what you want. Yeah.
Anything else?
It's kind of hard when I happen to have the circle. I mean, I guess networking as well. You may not have the current circle that you would like, but find networking groups. How can you do that? Obviously I know it's a bit different now with the whole pandemic and we're all at home. Obviously it's starting to open up, but one of the things that I did before the pandemic was I went onto networking groups about other like-minded individuals that were looking into the operations space, and they may just have a networking night where you just speak to people about the roles that they're in, and then you form relationships in that particular way as well. So that's a different way of creating, I guess, a circle. If you don't have a circle right now, that could help you in that area. So
cool. So then, okay, so let me chime in on that because I think it's very important. So I'm a person that is a big advocate of networking. The reason why the network thing is really important, especially if you don't have it, is because we have this fantastic tool called social media, and social media is not really the social ones in terms of partying and all that kind of stuff. You have professional ones like LinkedIn. You also have other focus groups depending on your area of expertise. So from my perspective, networking is super important. And people may say, well, how do you network? First, you create a LinkedIn page. And on your LinkedIn page, what you want to put is everything you've done thus far, all of your different job roles. And then in your summary, obviously find someone who's done something similar to you and see what they've put in theirs. Not copy and paste, but kind of get an idea of what other people are doing. And then you have to do this thing, and it might seem weird at the beginning, but it makes sense. For the roles that you're interested in, you want to connect with as many people as your LinkedIn account will allow you to connect with until they block you. And what will happen is that you would probably do maybe 100, 50 or whatever over the course of a week. But eventually, at least 3 or 5 people should now accept the connection. And then you can now start a dialogue with someone you've never met, but because you are interested in what they're interested in, they are, most of the time, if they've connected with you and they respond to you, they're more open to now have a conversation. You say, I only need 15 minutes of your time. Just want to find out what is your day-to-day role look like, etc., etc. Out of nowhere, you've built a connection. That connection could be the opportunity they could give you information that you can plug into your CV, or they can give you information that will help you at your interview. Because the best way to learn is from people that are already doing the job. So my advice is 100% networking is super important. And if you do that consistently, what happens is over time, as the years go by, you don't have to apply for jobs anymore. People just keep recommending you and you get headhunted. So that's the reason why networking is really important in a professional sense. So that's really good. So thanks, Abi. We got there in the end with all of the different things. I believe we're live on everything now, so that's awesome. So I think my key takeaway is hearing you. Your story is really inspiring. It's really motivating to know that, okay, you don't have to have everything given to you on a silver platter. Just by self-discipline and a desire to want more and believing internally that there is more, you can have the life that you have now. So let's just tick some boxes. So you didn't tick the education box. However, irrespective of that box you didn't tick, you're now a global head of sales operations for a multinational media firm in Canary Wharf. Well, currently remotely, I assume. And then you have properties, right? You have properties, and then also you do other things as well, right? What's the other things that you're doing at the moment?
What am I doing now? So I'm in the foreign exchange market as well. So that's something that I've been doing, as well as mentoring other people to realize that they can also leverage the foreign exchange for their benefits as well. So that's what I'm doing.
So break that down, because you said foreign exchange. Is that when I go on holiday and I change money? Please tell me what that means.
I mean, yeah, so that is an avenue. So yes, as you just mentioned right now, when you go on holiday, you take your local currency and you change that to the currency of the destination that you're going to. So that transaction that you've just done essentially is what's happening on the foreign exchange. But with that, you've just made a little amount, but you can actually do that same transaction in the actual market itself and gain a profit, whether a price of a currency goes down or if it goes up, as long as you can use the tools that are available to help you forecast the direction. That could turn out to be a nice profit for you. So yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment, and helping others to do as well.
Awesome. So there's the information, guys. So if you want to connect with Abi on that, you can get the information. Follow her on Instagram. And please glean from her wisdom. And my disclaimer is this: Abby's a busy woman, so please don't waste her time. She's busy. She's super busy. Every time I reach out to her, it takes a long time to respond because she's really busy. It's a personal joke. You won't get it. But so please reach out to Abi. Follow her on Instagram. And it's been an awesome time, Abi, talking to you, hearing all of your great stories, and obviously hearing where you are. Oh, I missed out the Holy Grail. So not only do you have a good job, making good money, have property, have a nice car that you no longer have to hide from anyone. What else do you have? You have a husband. Yeah. Oh, cool. So you've ticked all the boxes. Everyone must be happy with you, right? I'm just messing around. I'm being silly. So because remember, the goal, and I think it's really important, is that that you've highlighted, is that it's not about ticking everyone's boxes until you've ticked your own.
Yes.
Because I know on that journey, especially being around when I was around you in the different times that I was around you, everyone was getting married.
Mm.
I know how many weddings that you were bridesmaid in. Like, it was a lot. There
Yeah,
was times I
yeah.
was like, "Fam, you need to go on holiday and say that you can't make it." There was a lot.
I know, and also
Rightly so.
remember, I'm a wedding planner as well, so I've done lots of weddings as well.
Honestly.
I
So
know.
I know the pressure is like a million times and it's always in your face. And then the smart you now says, "Oh, let me make a business about this thing as well." So it's almost like, yeah, you've been up against it, but then you still kept yourself. And I think that's really commendable because it's very difficult, especially now with so much information out there, so many distractions, relationship goals, everything is just like amplified 100% more than it was before.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and the skills that you've been able to tell us about, I think everyone can use. Be self-disciplined, be self-motivated, find a circle of friends that are speaking common sense. My golden rule is this: if I want to be in a circle of friends where I'm the poorest person, because if I'm the poorest person and I'm doing okay, then they're even doing better. By the time I get there, I'm looking for the next set, and then you go up again and again and again. And then what happens
100%.
over time is that you're able to do the stuff that we're doing now reaching back and then giving people the information that's going to help them go. So yeah, awesome stuff. So thanks very much, Abi.
Thank you so much.
And we'll definitely be having you back soon once we finish the whole series. So in terms of what's next for you, what can we expect to see?
So, as I mentioned, I'm still in my role right now, and I'm looking to go into a director role. That's the next steps as well in terms of my career. But at the same time, in terms of the foreign exchange, it's something that I'm really passionate about sharing that type of information with a lot of people. A lot of people don't understand how it works, and a lot of people shy away from it. I was one of those people in the past as well. So we really want to help expose that and give people the right education to understand how to use it for their advantage, especially understanding how to do it with their mind. Like, if your mind's not in the right place, then it could be peak for you. But so we focus, so we focus really on the mindset to ensure that your mindset is right before you go into this type of industry. So that's what my focus is as well, and that's what I'm pushing.
Incredible. Okay, great. Well, thanks very much again, Abi. To all the people out there for tuning in, welcome to Forward Thinking, Six Figure Galdem. We're going to be here every Monday for the next 5 weeks, talking to amazing women who are leading the trail in the corporate world. They've got stories that are going to be relatable. They've got information that's going to help you propel you to where you want to go. And the best thing is that the information is free of charge. So lock in. Next week, I'm going to post on our Facebook page and on YouTube snippets of this interview as well as the full interview. And if you've got any questions or any comments, feel free to hit us up on all of our social medias. YouTube, Facebook is Forward Thinking. So just search the number, as you can see in the corner of the logo, the number 4, Word Thinking. And on Instagram, follow me, Lakon4Word on Instagram. So have a good one, guys, and see you next week. Bye-bye.